I've seen this happen so much times. I've seen this happen so much times. Friends allow friends. Certainly they may life ends. No, 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 yeah. It's your boy Profection back again for the last part, my friends. Right, so we've tackled a hell of a lot of stuff. God is always watching, my friends. He is. He is always watching, okay? Right, so check this out. So this is the last one, the movie Fallen. Where did it come into it? Okay, I did miss out Fallen. We're going to go into the topics for Fallen and Judas. Who is Judas? Okay, who is Judas? Right, so this kind of clears up number one. So now we're going round in a circle now. Now we're going back to number one. So number one was that evil's all around us, literally everywhere. If white people hadn't conquered black people, then black people may have conquered white people. Black people may have been raping white people too. Black people may have been. I remember my teacher John Wallerson saying to me, Luke, you know, because it was Black History Month, and he said to me, Luke, I had a teacher called John Wallerson that was about 60-something years old, and he was training a class of about 18 black people, about 2 white people, okay, performing arts class, and it got to a stage where he was quite open with me about certain things, and he once made a comment to me. He said, you know, Luke, black people are lazy and all that kind of stuff. So for him to be training a class of that many black people and then be that open to me and things like that, we had a very good relationship. That's the point I'm making. He wasn't a bad guy. He had a good relationship. So he was white, I was black, but we could talk openly, you know, with each other. And I said to him, well, John, that's not really the case, and explained some of the situation that I had been in, some of the racism that I'd seen and things like that. But one thing he did say about Black History, he sat down one time, he said, you know, Luke, Black History Month, sorry, not Black History Month, you know, when the slaves were hung back in the day, it wasn't what you think it is. Like, it was a big event. He said, you know, like, people would pay to see someone, like a black person, being hung. And he said, you know, they would bring their kids and they would sit down around a picnic, and they would have a picnic waiting for the black people to be hung. They'd pay for this. And I was like, wow, it's like, wow, like, you know, how. And then I had a friend of mine that turned around and said to me, she said, you know, you got to understand, Luke, that because she said her mother was racist and that it was kind of inbred into her, that if the whole village was racist, then you're not going to be able to see racist. And I said, well, I disagree with that, you know. So if we go back to the whole black people being hung, right, you got to understand that when these things were going on, there were white people there that were disgusted by it. But whereas evil had so much control over these sheep, it could even have been a child looking up at a mum and saying, Mum, that's so awful, oh my gosh. What happened is the mother would look back down at the child and smile and say, that's okay, honey, no, honey, it's okay. There. And she'll make up some sort of excuse that might have been passed down to her. But the daughter knows in her heart. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, just like there's certain people, kind of like the Stand, just like there's kind of leaders of evil, there's also leaders of good. And you're either a sheep or you're a wolf, or, you know, follower or leader. That little girl knows in her heart. There's nothing her mum can say to her. She can see for herself, this is evil. So she is like a chosen good. Okay? And this is what ties into this video, because there's either you're a sheep or you're one of those chosen good. And if you're one of those chosen good, and my first video I'm talking about evil, and evil always dominates, or this or that, then this video is important, because what it's telling you is that when you're that little girl, little boy, and you turn around and you saw those things. So I mean, like, for example, I was on the basketball court one day, and there was this guy called Luke, a white guy, and he was very good at basketball. I was always raised up around some really good basketball players, and there was one white guy called Luke, and when I was always around strong black brothers that were dunking the ball and powerful, and they all had skills and they were good. Nothing like. But then this white boy came along, and people looked at him and laughed at him and said, "No, he ain't got no skills or whatever." But Luke was taught by a professional coach. Okay, like, whereas they were street boys, the black boys, okay. So Luke could hang with them. He was able to do his professional coaching skills like Jordan, almost like Jordan. Jordan was taught by a professional coach, so he was able to do textbook book stuff on them, and he was textbook 3 point scoring. And what happened is, a lot of the black people started to get a bit of kind of anger towards him. So at certain times when Luke's doing certain things, now like bouncing the ball, barging into him, and when they got the ball on offense, they're like barging him, and it kind of made me a bit sick to my stomach, to the point where I had to talk about it. So guys, man, what's going on, bro? Why are you kind of doing this, bro? Because you're making me look bad. When you're behaving that way towards him, you make me look bad. You're almost making it look like, because the guy's got a little bit of skill and he can kind of hang with us on the same skill level, although he was better than me, let's face it, but because he could hang with us, like, you're almost making it look like you're jealous of that, and that's embarrassing, guys, you know. I understand the whole racist football, and they want to kind of treat black people, you know, like scum in football, and be racist and throw Lucozade bottles at us and all that kind of stuff, and you know, but let's not be the same way in regards to basketball. Don't do that to this guy. Don't. I know you feel it's our sport, so the point I'm making is that there are some people out there, like Chosen Good, that can't accept it, can't accept this racism or this racist views, and this is what this boils down to. Now we can start this video. Now we can kind of get into it. Right, so the movie Fallen. We'll start with the movie Fallen, then we're going to Judas, you know, the betrayal of Jesus Christ, because sometimes there are penalties for being that good person. There are penalties, and it doesn't always end up in a nice way, okay? But before we get there, the movie Fallen, okay, was about Denzel Washington, who was a good cop, okay, had the opportunity to be a crooked cop at certain times in the movie and refused to. Said, no, that's not what I'm about. I'm a good cop. I'm not going to take, you know, bribe money, or you know, I'm not going to steal from the robbers or whatever, and you know, I'm not going to do all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to play it by the book, okay? And basically what happened is, at the time in the movie, there's this Azazel, there's this devil, fallen angel, basically, that's why it's called Fallen, and he's able, this devil now, likes to play with human beings. Now if you remember the movie like Exorcist and things like that, there's something called possession, right, where the devil can jump into people. And in this movie, what's happening is the devil is literally jumping into people, and he's playing around with them, and basically he goes to jump into Denzel Washington. He's like, okay, let me jump into him too. And when he tries to jump, he can't. He's trying to jump into him again, and he can't. And he's thinking, oh, wow. Okay. We got ourselves a special one here. Okay. So I can't jump into this guy. This guy, because he has certain morals, because although that's not how the movie portrayed it, like, you know, they just said there's some special people that he can't jump into, but because he had certain morals, because he has some certain respects, because he has certain principles, the devil suddenly can't jump into him. So now he's saying, oh, okay, right, we're gonna have some fun with this guy. So the movie basically is him then jumping into other people and basically teasing Denzel Washington. And then he suddenly gets close to Denzel Washington's family, and he jumps into them as well, almost to the point where Denzel Washington nearly ends up doing something to his own family. He ends up nearly doing something to his own friend, okay? I won't get into it. You can see the movie for yourself. Called Fallen. Brilliant movie. But the point I'm making is that even though evil is out there, okay, it's not everyone that evil can kind of, what's the word? I personally believe, it's not everyone that evil can manipulate. Some people are sheep. Just like when I went back to the Donald Trump rally. Donald Trump said stand on one foot, people will be doing that. If he said get out your guns now, people will be doing it, okay? Some people are sheep. Whereas other people out there, they know what evil is. They can see it from a mile off. You can't manipulate them. There's no way you can manipulate them. Some people probably don't even need the Bible, because let's face it, people say, you know, you need to be a religious person in order to be good, or to, you know, to be spiritual and all those kind of things. There are some atheist people that are godly. They're the most godliest people you ever known. So it's something you either have or you don't have. Okay. Therefore, if we flip it round, the devil, a majority of the time, or demons or whatever, are controlling people that are weak. If if there is such thing as possession, which there is, that there literally is, because there's been accounts of it in the Bible and this and that, possession and this or that, then it's only weak individuals that can be possessed. It can't be strong. So if we go back to my first video and I'm talking about evils conquering the world and this and that and blah blah blah, be strong. Be strong. Okay, be strong mentally, be strong physically. I think in one of my videos I talked about physically strong. It's good to take care of yourself and watch what you eat. If you're physically strong, it generally helps you mentally. If you're mentally strong, it generally helps you physically. Okay, be careful of what you put into your body. Okay, take care of your body, and also do some sort of working out. Look after yourself. Gluttony, I think, which is too much food, is a sin, right? Too much food. Look after yourself. The Bible says, make use of idle hands. So you should be active anyway. You should be an active person. Take care of yourself physically, and then take care of yourself mentally. Okay. I would recommend that you go to church, or you take up a Bible study or those kind of things. But again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite, because right now I'm not regularly going to church, so I'm not going to sit down and be a hypocrite and all those kind of things. That's not what I'm about. If you don't have those things, then you should have a trusted group. Just remember I talked about the dictators, that there's certain leaders now of other countries, evil leaders that have been put into place, and they're kind of creating a lot of havoc around the world, and they're bullying their own people and torturing their own people. In order to not become like those evil dictators, okay, have something called peers, people that you can talk to, people that you're actually listening to, people that you respect. Basically, have people around you that because realistically, if you don't respect certain people, they shouldn't be around you anyway. I mean, what the hell does that say about you? If I'm walking around 10 people and I don't respect them, bloody hell, what the hell does that say about me? What am I, some sort of two-faced sellout? Some sort of, I must be a right, you know what I mean? In order for me to be walking around 10 people and I don't respect any of them. So your own people that you walk around, that you choose to be around, take advice from them. Okay? And generally you'll find that the more people you have, generally the more the advice heads towards being good advice. If you've got one or two people, the advice could be bad, but you'll find generally the more people you have, the more people you reach out to, it kind of tends to sway towards good advice. It's only when we have one or two friends that it tends to sway towards bad, because those one or two friends could be narcissistic or bad people. But generally, the more people we ask, majority of people, it will tend to be, overall, tend to be more towards honest opinions, honest advice, honest criticism. Okay, but getting back to the fallen video, it's not everyone that the devil can kind of, or the devil can kind of play around with. Some people are just too mentally strong. Regardless of what's being thrown at them, how they're being manipulated, what they're seeing on, I was said a few of the industries that are controlling people these days. I missed out on porn. You got porn, you got your YouTube, you got your Facebook, you got your Google, you've got your newspapers, you've got your TV, you've got your leaders of the world. You've got a lot of influences that are coming in, and before you know it, you may be out there on the street and you're fighting someone based upon a lie that one of these industries have told you. So you've suddenly gone from being the good person to suddenly being a bad person. Some of you may even gone as far as killing someone based upon these things. Like I heard during the riots of America, there were some people that were shot and killed. It's ludicrous. So all I want to say to you people out there now, if you're watching this video, if you've made it this far, I'm not going to say you're the chosen one because you watched my video and all that kind of nonsense. But what I will say to you is that um, just be careful of what you're watching and what you're seeing. Like when I was saying about the Mary J. Blige thing, one person is suddenly being flooded on my YouTube page saying Mary J. Blige. Who gives her that power to suddenly appear out of nowhere in my suggestions and now saying spread a rumor like that? So if nobody like that can suddenly have that power, imagine people like Donald Trump and other influencers or things like that. So just be careful. Open up your Bible and kind of read it for yourself, and stay good, guys. Stay good. But watch those movies anyway. Another movie, Arlington Road, because like I said, when I was saying to people about how the devil, he couldn't do it by himself. He has to have those sheep to manipulate, has to have other people to manipulate and do his dirty work for him. There's a movie called Arlington Road, and in the end it's very funny. Well, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. But in the end, it shows you about manipulation. The movie Arlington Road with Jeff Bridges shows you about manipulation and how it works, and and about how some people appear innocent at first and this and that. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. This is my opinions on good intelligence versus evil intelligence, predictable bad versus predictable good, and how I believe that certain people, whether it be white, black, Chinese, even in their own countries, how evil is in power. But and that's the last thing I wanted to say. Actually, I forgot the Judas, right? So before we end this, Judas, right? So I didn't want to say this, but it had to be said. If we look at even slavery back in the day, and this is why it's not about hating white people and things like that, is that a lot of slavery ended on the backs of white people. Okay. You think about that little girl when I talked about my teacher John Warnersing and the picnic, and how she watched black people being hung. She turned her head away, and the mother said, "Don't be silly. No, they're not like us. They're not humans and all that." She knew that was BS and this and that. Those people grew up to become freedom fighters on behalf of to try to abolish slavery. This is how slavery got abolished, by people standing up. But I'm sure it wasn't every white person that stood up that probably was even was allowed to walk around freely. I'm sure some of them were probably hung themselves. One or two of them, okay? I'm sure it's not every white person that tried to stand up for slavery was able to survive, okay? The point I'm making is that sometimes when you're standing up and you're fighting for evil, fighting for good against evil, there may be harsh consequences that comes along with it, and that goes to back to the story of Judas, in the Bible, that betrayed Jesus. I'm sure it is Judas. I'm sure his name is. When the Romans finally came and they knocked on people's doors and said, give up Jesus Christ and this and that, because if you don't give him up, then we're going to torture you, or you're going to die on the cross, and it will be the most painful death you can ever imagine. And it's almost like what's going on today, if you don't believe in this, you'll get tortured, or if you do believe in it, you get tortured, and people break their faith because they don't want to be tortured, basically. And it's just like Makosi in the Big Brother house. Although she was weak, basically she was weak because there was no torture involved. That was just manipulation, a man manipulating a woman. But in the Judas case, it was a case where I don't want to be tortured, I don't want to be hung on a cross, I don't want to have stones thrown at me. And they were scared, they were panicked into it. But like I said, if you're one of those real people, then you're not going to allow evil to win, to succeed. And sometimes it doesn't always end up in your favor. I'm not going to go into some of the things that happen. You can look around you and know what's happened throughout history, but it's for a good cause. Sometimes sometimes it has to be done, okay, for a good cause. I'm not talking about you doing something silly or stupid or becoming a martyr. I'm saying sometimes standing up against evil comes with consequences. That's what I'm saying to you. Alright, thank you for watching, guys. Yeah, you'll probably see me around for another video that I have in mind, but we'll see how it goes. But thank you for watching. Take care. Peace.